I can promise you that in the next 15 minutes, I will teach you everything you need to know about D2C marketing. I'm going to dissect it into 3 levels, and it's a very specific thing I do because I see e-com founders hit certain bottlenecks and plateaus at those levels. So the founder that's doing 0 to 50K is gonna hit operational bottlenecks. He's too involved in the business, he doesn't know what to do, and he doesn't have the systems to scale his brand. 50K to 200K is where most brands hit creative bottlenecks. They are doing pretty well, they have some margin, but the problem is they don't know how to scale their creative output. And above that 200K, so brands doing 500K a month, a million a month, that's where you hit brand bottlenecks. And that ties back to the creative output. Now, I'm not gonna delve into the basics, so that 0 to 50K per month, I have another video about unit economics. I think that's the most important thing to watch if you're a 0 to 50K per month brand, where I delve deep into the unit economics and what needs to make sense in your business and enable to for you to be able to increase your profit margin, get more cash flow in so that you can reinvest in ads and increase the brand. But if you'd like a very short view about what you should do as a 0 to 50K per month brand, that is increase margin. So look at your unit economics and create statics and UGC. For the brands doing above 50K per month, I think the ecosystem is the most important one, but you're gonna hit different bottlenecks. The 50 to 200K per month brand is gonna struggle with making more creatives. That's not such an issue once you're doing 300K. That's where the cohesiveness and the story across all of your assets need to make more sense, and you need to build the brand, right? But I'm gonna tie those together and I'm gonna create one ecosystem to explain to you exactly what you need to do. Let's start at the very basics. And you need to tell a story that's cohesive across all of your assets. I have a very specific view on branding, right? I don't see branding as the big campaigns, $40, 40,000 euros, production sets with casting, 20-man crew. I don't see that as branding, right? I see that as, okay, making a promotional video, but something completely different, okay? A brand for me is a red line across all of your assets, across your ads, across your organic content, across your copy, across your ad account, across your website. It's one cohesive story you're trying to tell across everything. That's a brand for me. Now that being said, the first exercise you should do is know what brand and what direction you're going in, right? And a great question to ask yourself is, if this was the biggest company on the earth, what would my content, what would my campaigns, what would my web shop, my email marketing look like, right? Think about that. What's your North Star? Where are you growing towards? And I'm gonna get way more practical in just a second, but that's the first question we ask ourselves when we're building a brand and working together with our clients. And just to make sure that you know what we're speaking of, we spent more than 2 million euros on ad spend in the last 180 days, and we're scaling that by more than 20% every single month, okay? So once you know where you want to grow towards, that's when you can get a little bit higher from the foundations, right? What you're now gonna do, and this is more for the 50K plus brands, you need a system to know how your creative operations work. You need to have very clear responsibilities so that once you hit 2, 3, 4, 500K, you can increase your capacity by hiring more people, by hiring agencies, and output more creatives based on that system. But step one is having a system. You need to know exactly where in the pipeline every content piece is. I'm talking about these creative systems in all of my other videos, so I'm not going to go too deep here. But you need to know exactly where everything is. Your entire team needs to know what's happening in the company, what's working, what's not working. Okay, and that's a creative system to track everything out. But what's gonna make the most difference is how you translate your brand into your assets. And we have a very simple 4-step formula for that. So step one is the use case or persona. So who is buying your product? A persona description. So be it a motorcyclist, like someone who's partying, someone who's sleeping, whatever, right? Then we've got the moment. So what moment is that persona living in, right? Is that person, I don't fucking know, cooking? Is that going for a Sunday ride? Is he going on a business trip, right? I'm mixing stuff together here, but I'm just showing you, like, we've got the person, the use case. The third one is the bucket. So are we producing video ads, UGC, or statics? And the last step is the format, or kind of ties back to the angle as well. And that is, are we doing a before and after, an unboxing, storytelling? Are we doing infographic, educational? When you do that, you can see that if you've got one person, 3 different moments, 3 different buckets, that's already 9. And for every bucket we create, I don't know, 10 different formats, you've already got more than 100. You're gonna get into the area of more than 100 different assets. And if you've got 4 personas, you can increase your creative output very easily by just following that framework. Next step is the concept writing. So write down your entire concept in just one line. Then you can go into script writing. And that script is based on the persona, on the moment, on the bucket, and the format. Right? And if you've got such a system, you know exactly what to write, that's when you can increase your creative output. And that's the biggest struggle I see anywhere. Brands from doing 50K to even $1 million plus, they struggle to systemize it and know how to write their scripts. They're just writing stuff. They tell their UGC creators, just do something, right? Here's the product, make an unboxing. But what's the entire format? Who are we trying to target? Okay, and this really ties back to Andromeda, because Andromeda, the entire challenge here, and I believe that Andromeda exists to rule out. It's a bit of survival of the fittest, right? It's trying to rule out all of the brands that can't follow, that are not able to do these kind of things, right? That can't increase creative output, that don't know how to target very specific people in their niche. Andromeda is really here to challenge you as a brand builder to think outside the box and really systemize everything. If you're not going to do that, you're going to fall behind and competition will rule out the market. Now, if you've got that system and you've got all of that script writing process ready, that's when you can enter this atmosphere of Andromeda and actually like win. You've probably heard it before, like Andromeda, personas, awareness stages, all these kinds of things. And when you have this system, you can actually start implementing it. Like, to be honest, it took us a long time to nail this down as well. I mean, we've tried and failed more than anyone else, I think. And now that we have the system, like, fuck, there's one client, they joined 2 months ago. We did 2x last month, we 2x this month. Another client did like 30% in the first month. There was another client that joined us this month, 37% increase in revenue in this month, with probably, I think, the same ad spend, or we increased it by 5 or 10%, and we're gonna scale them now. That's what's happening when you include a system like that. And then the challenge, of course, becomes the production. And that's the next challenge I want to go into, and that's the production capacity. And that's the biggest struggle for the 50 to 200K per month brand, because they have cash flow, but of course, hiring an agency is pretty expensive. Doing it in-house is pretty expensive. Hiring freelancers, you're not going to get the results you probably want. Or if you have a very good freelancer, maybe you do. But important here is that you need to focus on assets that are going to generate you more creatives with your system. And that may be hiring an agency that can do that for you, because you shouldn't be, you as a founder, when you're doing 50 to 200K, you don't need to be in your creative operations all the time. You should focus on your business and let anybody else do that execution. Okay. Then the next struggle, and that's pillar number 3, right? The 200K, 500K, $1 million brands. In most cases, what I see is that they increase their creative output by a lot, but suddenly that cohesiveness, right? That ecosystem is not sticking together anymore. The UGC doesn't really look like UGC from that brand anymore. Their video ads looks extremely fragmented, and they need to bring everything back together to create one single story, right? And that's a big challenge. And that leads me back to the very first question I asked you. If this was the biggest brand, what would the content, what would the campaigns, what would the website, the web shop, the email marketing look like? And then it's about bringing everything back together and making sure that your entire team, maybe even the agencies you work with, because at that point you might work with 3, 4, 5 different production agencies to have different creative angles. At that point, it's really about making sure everybody knows what direction you want to go in, okay? Which is also, again, just a matter of having a good system in place so that you can brief everyone correctly, everybody knows their responsibilities, and everybody can just execute on what they need to do, right? So what I want to challenge you, and dude, I fucking like doing this. This is just talking about the knowledge I have, and I may be chaotic sometimes, but shit, I hope it's a bit valuable. what I challenge you to do is look at your system, see where the most bottlenecks are at right now. Is that creative? Is that operational? Is that brand? And like try to fix it in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Try to think outside the box. How can I bring everything together? How can I make this ecosystem works? And maybe look at one of the other videos I made about this ecosystem where I talk about awareness stages, top, middle, bottom of the funnel. But I do believe if you nail that down, you're gonna be able to grow your brand like crazy. And yeah, shit, I hope this was a bit valuable. Thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. And if you've stuck with me until now, I don't know how long I've been recording, but thank you so much, Jid. See you.